talking about that with Erlene Tilton and Donalyn Williams. And ladies, thanks for coming and being with us again.
Great to be here.
Now, we were just
always glad.
Oh, you betcha. We were just talking before going on the air here that I've been intrigued with. You use a lot of essential oils in many different ways, but especially in cooking. It's really intrigued me because some of the things that you fixed were the flavor was amazing. And I'm a bit of a foodie, and I like to cook. And so had recently gotten into buying some of these oils myself and have been amazed at just what you can do with cooking. But today I know the main focus of the day-to-day is about these essential oils and how they can affect your brain health. And I find that kind of interesting.
Absolutely. I don't think people realize the power of essential oils and what they can do. And I just wanted to start by sharing a story. This is my daughter's friend who I've been really close to over the years. And her name is Jan, and her daughter, actually in the heat of the summer, this was 7 or 8 years ago, went biking with a friend in the desert, and they ran out of water. And so her friend went to get help. By the time they got up there to help their daughter, she had basically been laying in the sun for about 45 minutes, just frying.
Ooh.
And so by the time they got her to the well, she was unresponsive when they got her. They got her to the emergency room. She was unresponsive. And the doctor said, you know, if she ever did come to, she would never have full mental capacity.
So major heat stroke.
Major heat stroke and major dehydration. And so she called her neighbor and said, I need my brain oils. So frankincense, rosemary, bergamot, and peppermint. She said, bring those. And when she got them to the hospital, and of course this is hours later, she started putting them down her daughter's spine. She just layered them one at a time, those 4 oils. And she said just the first layer, her daughter shuddered. And that was the first basic movement. And as she kept layering them, her daughter said, stop. And she says, I didn't stop. I kept going.
Wow.
And I kept layering those 4 oils every 15 minutes all night long. Well, guess what? They released her and she didn't have her full memory back. She said she could count to 10 and she was getting to, you know, she could recognize her parents. And a few things. So she definitely wasn't well, but her mother continued to apply those oils as well as do an aroma touch, which is an essential oil application on the back. And basically within a few short weeks, she was completely back to normal. Today, she is just a beautiful young adult girl, fully recovered in that period of time. And while we don't want to make any claims here and you know, say that they're a cure or whatever, the fact is they are powerful solutions, and you can see why. And we want to kind of go through why these 4 essential oils did what they did for her daughter and how they're really greatly impacting other people who use them.
Well, one of the things you mentioned when it comes to the brain oils, you mentioned frankincense, and I think, you know, a lot of us remember in the Christmas story, biblical story, hearing about frankincense, you know, a couple thousand years ago even. So it's been around for a long time, but I didn't realize there was frankincense oil and that had so many qualities to it.
Absolutely. Frankincense is one of our widely most used oils that was talked about in biblical times. And it's one of our most important oils that we use today because of its power for the brain. And basically it has sesquiterpenes in it, which is actually oxygen molecules that can directly go to the cells. And especially if you're applying on the back of the spine or the base of the neck, it can pass the blood-brain barrier. So especially in the incidence of brain trauma or brain injury, it can supply that extra oxygen that can help the body to naturally heal itself.
Very interesting.
It's amazing. Our brains are so important, and that essential oil is super, super important for brain health.
Well, and then likewise with all these oils that I got from you recently, rosemary, because I mean there's just so many applications in cooking, and I found it to be amazing how one drop can really completely, you know, change a dish. I mean, it really for the better. but you're saying this also has a lot of brain boosting capabilities to it, or qualities as well.
Absolutely. Rosemary is great for brain boosting, and it's also really good to increase brainwave activity, which, and it also increases alertness, significantly beneficial to our cognitive functions.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be in brain trauma or just daily brain activity. So to me, every morning when I get up, I put a couple of drops of frankincense, under my tongue, and then I put a drop on the back of my neck. I follow with a drop of rosemary, because, oh my gosh, when you get to my age, we all want better brain power and better memory and focus and concentration, and those two oils are amazing.
Double dose of all of those.
And for the children too. I mean, you've got your kids going to school, and especially as the year goes on and they're ready to get out and they're not focused as much because they just want to be out of school right now.
Right.
They went from at home with computers.
Yeah.
This is such a great thing to apply to them, on the back of their neck and down their
Right.
spine or bottoms of their feet.
That's
Peppermint is
just
another.
that's the other thing I was just going to ask. I never heard of peppermint being.
Well, yeah, it's not your peppermint candy. It's, it's the way they're distilled too. So that's why they're so potent, because you take it from a plant that we tear off and put in our food. But the way the essence of the oil is distilled is so powerful, and yet gentle enough,
Mm-hmm.
And peppermint is one of those great ones. It also will take you across the blood-brain barrier, but it's stimulating. It's great for cognitive health as well, and yet it's one of those like adaptogens that work to help calm you and bring peace, and great for migraines and headaches. So it's simple to use these things and not running to your drugstore. You have it goes from having the cabinet of your medicinal herbs can also be used in food.
Well, one other one that was mentioned, Donalyn, is was it bergamot or bergamot?
Right, and what's really
that doesn't come from burgers.
exactly. What's good about that one, and I didn't realize it until I was studying it a little bit more. When my husband Chuck was through medical school, chiropractic school, he would drink Earl Grey tea, which is bergamot, has the bergamot essence in it. And that is to also sharpen your brain, cognitive health.
I didn't know that.
But also to help with stress level when they're studying for boards and all that. It was that was his drink of choice, because it helped him cognitively while he was studying and then taking the tests.
Now, real quick, I want to just remind folks that are listening on the radio that we're also coming to you live on Facebook Live right now. Just look for KRIM FM. And I want to say good morning to John, Sylvia, Terry, Nancy, Jamie, Ruth, a whole bunch, Sandy, Dave, Clint, a whole bunch of people watching. If you have questions, feel free to just text them in on Facebook, and we'll try and get your questions answered. I'm really astounded by this, the story about your friend, though, early, and I didn't realize. I have a brother-in-law passed away years ago, but he had a lot of base of the brain spinal damage from a motorcycle accident, and never heard about the fact that something like this might have been able to help, at least in some ways. This is really kind of fascinating.
Well, and the thing that I like to emphasize to people is sometimes they look at essential oils, they can see these essential oils, and go, wow, they're so expensive. It's like, oh my gosh. Get them in your homes, get them in your hands, because if it comes to something like this, this will be pennies compared to all of the other things that you think you will run to. I'm telling you, this $68 bottle of frankincense is gold to me. It's so precious to me because of the benefits of these essential oils. And I'm telling you, it's amazing what they will do. And so
But the thing is that we talk about the expense, which really don't want to focus on, but it's the purity of certain companies where the oils have a lot more integrity than maybe the ones you'll see them just sort of the way you buy vitamins, and you can see them at the dollar store, and you might see them at Walgreens, but they don't have the the integrity, they're not organic, they're not farmed with in the right places.
Now, is this why some essential oils, might be good in a little vaporizer, doohickey, whatever the proper term for those are? Diffuser, there you go. I personally like doohickey, but at any rate, but some can be used in that. But those
Absolutely.
wouldn't necessarily be good to ingest or to use in food.
I wouldn't even ingest an essential oil that doesn't have the quality that, let's say, doTERRA or even Young Living, and there's a few other companies that really do have a lot more integrity. Would not be ingesting them in my body or in the air or on my skin.
Not even topically or anything.
No.
Very interesting.
This is your largest organ right here. I mean,
Right.
if it can go in and then get through the brain-blood barrier, you want the most highest quality.
And what was the name of that little doohickey that you were talking about?
Diffuser?
No, the cell that can go through that blood-brain
The
barrier.
sesquiterpenes?
Don't ask me.
The oxygen.
I have all of my
Oxygen
emphasis
molecules.
on the wrong syllables this morning. Very interesting. I'd never heard of that before. But how interesting that something topically, and like you mentioned, our skin, our epidermal layer is our biggest organ.
It is.
That's an interesting perspective.
And then, when we're talking about using them with food, I mean, you can do it. You can use the oils a certain way, but then if you're using them in your food, then you're just enhancing, if you're gonna have a snack and you have it using it with oils, which we will hope, show you in a little bit,
Yeah, we'll talk about
you're getting a double, whammy with it.
There you go.
Mhm.
By the way, we're going to, the second half hour, we just do a half hour here on the radio, but we go a full hour on Facebook Live, and in our second half hour this morning, we'll be heading back to the KRIM kitchen for some more delectable stuff. I've always been intrigued with everything you brought.
Yeah.
So now, you also, I know we were talking before, you also had a friend who just recently lost her husband or something?
Yes, I did, and so I offered a bottle of frankincense and another one.
So now, you also, I know we were talking before, you also had a friend who just recently lost.
The thing that I love about essential oils is that you can apply them every day. And this is where my friend got a lot of good results with her daughter. But also, my sisters and I took a road trip last week. And we went to Colorado. We actually, one of the places we wanted to stop was a place where my grandmother grew up. And so my other sister had brought kind of a story that her brother had written that we loved this great uncle. And, but anyway, he was talking about, back in the Depression times in the 1930s and how hard it was and how people were just going crazy. They were just shutting down. They were committing suicide like crazy. And I'm thinking, that's so much to what's going on today.
Right,
and I
sure.
thought, we have essential oils, these 4 essential oils especially, that are, and there's more, but especially these 4 that are really good for brain health and supporting brain health, especially if you're going through brain trauma and you're having mood and emotion and focus and concentration issues and depression and anxiety. All of those things are so prevalent in our world today. We have solutions. And they can really support good brain health, and we kind of wanted to talk about that.
And it sounds like this not just for physiological damage, but even like with PTSD, that's on the other end of the realm, and this would even work in that realm as well.
We sometimes, these days, and just like you're talking about depression and even the, many different cycles in life, we can't control things necessarily, but we can make choices to help deal with them. So we might not know what's coming at us, but as we're dealing with it, you've got these oils that you're able to diffuse, put on your skin, take internally, that can help you cope. So they can make you have a lot more energy. Sometimes that's when you can focus and deal with what might be coming or what you've dealt with through loss. Like, my dad died this year, and I know what it's like to have that, but, grieving. But people that have lost their jobs or, their social life has been halted during this pandemic, that these can help you.
And interesting that just the aroma can be enough to, kind of calm you down if you're maybe having some high anxiety. That's really remarkable, I think.
It's a whole science in itself. I mean, we could go on and on.
It's kind of like me when I smell bacon.
I walked in and I said, I smelled like it, didn't I?
It was me. No, but I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, it actually makes logical sense. I've never been exposed to this before, so I find this especially interesting. Now, and are there, when we're talking a number of different things here as far as brain health, because I mean, you've been mentioning comforting, calming, consoling, and I mean that's an awful lot of benefit coming out of a simple oil.
Absolutely.
And this is not like taking, happy pill number 3 or something like
Right.
that, which is, probably not the best way to go about if you have depression issues and stuff. I mean,
Exactly.
it's better to get to the root of things, perhaps.
Because it's changing things on a cellular level for you, where a lot of the drugs are just dealing with you right now, and masking it.
Right.
These will help you shift internally.
Well, we understand that aromatherapy has really been around for, thousands of years. Like I said, we know about them in biblical times. And aromatherapy really started because of smell. You inhale them. And if you stop and think about it, when you inhale something, through your nostrils, it goes straight to your olfactory bulb and then into the limbic system. And that it really basically monitors and controls thought, memory, emotions, focus, concentration, behavior, mood.
So it just makes logical sense.
It makes logical sense. If you can smell something, the effect that it can have. And I always especially tell this to moms because, their children are misbehaving and they want them to, or they're either depressed or have anxiety or whatever. And I say, just have them smell an oil. All you have to do is open the bottle, literally, and have them inhale that oil. That can work faster than any other thing. You can threaten them, you can spend whatever you want to do. Just have them smell an oil, and they're going, how can that help? But it does. It does. I've had reports of moms that, they're traveling on the road and their kids are fighting and whatever, and the mom has a little cotton ball that she sticks in the air conditioning unit, and she puts 1 drop of lavender on there, and in just minutes, these kids are calmed and they're happy, and it's like, how did that happen?
Wow.
Well, they smelled it.
Mm-hmm.
It's smell.
This
And
also, on a
aroma is
reverse level,
amazing.
this explains why I had so much anxiety when I was in places like Calcutta, India, and Dhaka, Bangladesh. Things I was smelling there were quite the opposite effect. But it actually makes sense.
It can irritate you or it can calm you. And this is what I love about essential oils. Like I said, open the bottle, maybe even put a drop
Right.
on your hand. Yeah, and just inhale it. Or put some drops in a diffuser. I mean, they have an influence on your brain. My favorite too, in my hands, and keeps me alert and awake while driving, is peppermint and frankincense. 1 drop in each palm. I did the drop there. And just rub my hands together and inhale. It's amazing. You could smell it kind of there.
Darn
But
barrier
together
we have here.
you can actually smell these together and see just how they smell together. Just kind of go this way, yeah.
Remember,
And-
we had
I like that.
one of the girls that
I may
came to one
actually
of our
stay
classes.
awake through the whole show today. This is
One of the
great.
girls that came to one of our classes and then they started buying them, is she was traveling at night. She would
Right.
drive home she worked in Fountain Hills and drove up to Payson. And she started using those too, so she didn't get groggy at night.
And there's nothing
Really
worse
helps
than feeling
But-
drowsy when you're driving.
Exactly,
That's horrible.
but not so stimulated that she couldn't sleep when she got home, but it really helped her stay alert.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, these have been definitely my go-tos for driving alertness. I'm telling you, I don't know what I would do that because, I've driven to California and different places, and you get tired.
Well, I got to ask. You brought up a couple of very interesting points as far as inhaling. The fragrance from these oils gets back into your olfactory system and everything. That all makes sense as far as how your face is plumbed, I guess, or whatever the proper term is. But that whole putting the oil up and down the spine on this gal that had suffered severe heat stroke. So actually coming at the brain through the spinal column.
Well, your central nervous system, and basically what that was doing is putting those oxygen molecules into the brain and throughout the body, so her body could actually regenerate and process through all that brain trauma and injury,
Wow.
all over her central nervous system. So very, very
and
effective.
if you can't do that yourself, like you just reach as far as you can down, or use the bottom of your feet where all your reflex points are, is another really,
You know, my mother-in-law studied reflexology a long time ago, and it is weird how, I remember there was something about when you have a headache, this one part of your foot really hurts, and I don't know, I didn't try it before or after that, but I had a headache, and she hit that spot, and it about set me loose. But it did have an impact, so there's a lot to be said for that.
Absolutely.
So the oils on the bottom of the feet too, huh?
And especially if you put the oil right on that area of the feet, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
it's so effective. I've had topical.
And your feet
So
will smell good,
So you buy yourself a reflexology chart,
right?
and you get certain oils, and you can treat yourself and your family, your
Wow.
children. So
Very neat.
it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Now, but one of the things I know, Donalyn, you've mentioned before, is out of all the different ways you can use these oils, you really like to take them internally.
I do think that's what we were saying. It's important to take. You can take them internally. You should be careful. Make sure that they do say. I think these say food grade, or
And they also have a supplement fact label. You
So then you
must
know.
look for that.
because not all of them can you ingest,
In fact, most of them you can't. So.
but you can. But you also want to make sure, like we said, that they're organic. They're been with reputable companies, and just because you can find them in a dollar store for $1 does not mean they're going to be really good for you to take. So that's just one way,
Well, I
It's-
would think that this would be interesting to people here locally too, and that demographically, we have a very high percentage of retired people here, and I don't know about any of the other retired people, but the older I get, the more, the thought processes might not be firing quite as quickly as they used to. And so this might be something to kind of help keep your edge if you're worried about maybe losing a little bit of your sharpness. This could be perhaps an answer.
Absolutely. Not only an answer, like I said, it's something that you can do every day to positively affect your central nervous system, your brain health.
Mhm.
And I mean, who doesn't need that or want that
absolutely
at any age? And so, like I said, diffusing is really, really important. Applying them topically when we need them in different areas, and then taking them internally. That's what I love about the essential oils that we use, that we can use them all those 3 ways and get really good benefits and feel good about it, knowing that we are doing something positive for our bodies and
and
our
not
children.
damaging your organs while
Right.
you're doing it, like
Right.
so many drugs. Sure, insurance might pay for drug X, but it's going to cause you to have other issues.
Well, and
whereas
so
it's
often
not.
it's you're putting a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound for the most part anyway. I mean, it's better to get to the root of
Right.
what's going on rather than.
And when we
just
say
nasty.
internally too, it's not always just taking drops under your tongue, but you can put them in little gel caps and take them that way too if you're worried about the taste or whatever.
Mhm.
There's many ways, and this is why she's got one of the best websites to be able to and look at information about how to do all these things, and then hopefully we'll be having our classes soon, and
Yes.
besides on Zoom, and learn. There's lots to learn.
Well, now with the as far as the brain health aspects of rosemary, I know rosemary is one of the oils that I got from you,
Mhm.
and I've been really enjoying that in food. Now, if we're cooking something up and that rosemary oil, gets heated up, does it lose its
Mhm.
effectiveness? I mean, is it not as effective as it would be if you were applying it topically or something like that as it pertains to brain health?
I've seen pros and cons and people that say different things, but what I have learned along the way is that it still has those same properties and still can have those brain boosting benefits,
Mhm.
even if you slightly cook it.
Right.
So, or even if you bake it. I mean, we have some things today that have rosemary in that have been cooked. The flavor's still there and the properties are still there. And so I think that there is much that we can still get from the essential oils, even if there is something.
And then you don't have the waste. I'm not gonna, but if you've got your own herb garden, that's awesome as well.
Sure.
But if you're going to the store and buying the little packages, you waste them. Use them for 1 or 2 recipes, and then you throw them out, and you'll always have them here.
Right, and it's, I don't know about anyone else, but who doesn't like the smell of rosemary? That's good
It's
stuff.
awesome.
So now, if people want to find out more, first of all, in the second half hour again, we're going to be just on Facebook Live, coming to you from the kitchen here at the KRIM Cottage, and giving you some ideas about how to perhaps apply some of what we've been talking about today in your cooking. But if in the meantime, if people want to go online and find out more about the website that Donna Lynn's talking about, or get more information, where do they go?
Just my name, ErleneTilton.com, and that's ErleneTilton.com. And you can go there, and I have a lot of different recipes that are posted. But we also have two things that we want to offer our listeners today. They can get a free bottle of rosemary or a free bottle of peppermint in the month of May. Just contact me, and I will let you know how you can do that. So just send me an email at ask, just like ask me, ASK, at, and then my name, write it down, ErleneTilton.com, and go to that, or, contact me at that email and ask me about not only the recipes that we're going to be doing in the kitchen, as well as how to get one of these bottles free in the month of May.
Great. Or even come by my office at my chiropractor,
Right.
and I can hook you up that way as well.
What's the? I know you're just south of Bonita on the east side of
the
Beeline.
street.
What's the address there?
405 South Beeline.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's another way. If you just happen to be
Absolutely.
stopping by, I can hook you up with her there.
Cool.
That way.
Sounds good. Now we're going to take a quick break here on Facebook and switch our venue back to the KRIM kitchen for you to check out some of the food applications of this. But here on the radio, we're going to get you back to more of your favorite music. Have some great tunes coming up from Jimmy Cliff, Genesis, Heart, Train, Van Morrison, and more. But right now, a quick look at RIM Country weather.
Jimmy Cliff.
All right, back at the KRIM kitchen here, and this is my favorite part of the show with you all. Over the last few months,
Why do you think I hang around?
I was going to say, you got good taste, but over the last few months, I have to just be transparent and admit that I've shown up for a couple of these things, and there was some food there that I was looking at, because I'm just kind of a picky person, but I was thinking, oh man, this is doesn't really look like what I want to eat. I was wrong every time. This is amazing stuff. So what do you got cooking for us today?
Well, first let's talk about the chicken. Now there is, I put the rosemary in it as a marinade, as well as the bergamot, and I even put a couple of drops of black pepper. So, and then it has a little bit of salt, so basically, you can give it a try. It's cold, so it's going to be, maybe not as good as
Did you use
if it was nice and
oil
warm.
as well? Like
And then I
olive
baked it.
oil?
Oh yeah, I put it in a little bit of olive oil and kind of mixed it around. And is that good? Do you like the rosemary?
No, that's great.
Like I said, rosemary. Oh, you just can't go wrong with rosemary. It's really good. I like rosemary thyme for meats, and always I add a citrus. Bergamot is good, lemon or lime,
Right.
and black pepper. It's always good. So it's is that good?
And it's cooked just right too. Most people really overcook chicken. That's not
Yeah.
well. Great.
This is okay. The second thing is basically, I love this brain boosting nut snack. I love this snack. It's really kind of fun. Just taste those and see what you think about it. I'm telling you, this is so fun. Now they're a little strong.
It's okay.
A little strong.
I'm a little weak, so it's okay.
Okay, so these have frankincense. Now, I have not done a lot of cooking with frankincense. Well, I didn't cook them, but the frankincense, the rosemary, and I have the copaiba as well.
The what?
This is copaiba or copaiba. So copaiba is another brain oil. It's really good for, it's neuroprotective. So it's basically protecting your central nervous system against any kind of brain damage, or help in, you know, support and regeneration.
Right.
It's also really good for your endocannabinoid system.
Exactly.
So very similar, but no relation to CBD oil. But very, very good for your endocannabinoid system. So it's great for a lot of different things.
I didn't even know I had an endocannabinoid system.
So what do you think about the...
Right. Don't interrupt me, I'm eating.
I know.
And I mean, replace the Cheetos for the kids with
Oh, man.
this or something
And I bet they
while
go
they're
for it.
studying, or you know, after they come home from school. It gives them energy, focus again. You know, it's just another way to ingest the herbs.
And I don't know if it's just me and I got a weird system, but if I sit down with someone and I'm munching on Doritos or something, after a little while I feel lousy from that. I don't know.
Of course.
It
Yeah,
does something
absolutely.
weird to my system.
Absolutely. Well, these are, you know, you can feel good about eating them and
Absolutely.
knowing that you're supporting good brain health. And of course, I was using all the brain oils. You could use other oils, but I love this combination, and so good for brain health.
Really?
So good for brain health. And almonds and pumpkin seeds are really good for brain anyway. So it's just a really good oil for that.
And you can be creative. I mean, you can use other things. Like we said, you don't have to use just those essential oils. And there's a lot of information out on the internet on what to do. This is one of my favorites. This is a great snack for kids or whatever in the middle of the day or for breakfast.
Right.
So this is unsweetened coconut yogurt. But if you don't choose that, you can get another kind of yogurt. I always try to get organic if I can.
Right.
So this is unsweetened, but you can take just a few drops of stevia.
There comes your
and-
sweetness.
That's right.
Isn't that supposed to be a bunch sweeter than sugar?
Yes, and so it takes only just a few drops
Right.
on there.
And then like to mix it up a little. And then you can add some wild orange.
Ooh.
Again, yes.
The one that oils that I got from you all,
And
I
I'm
love
putting
it.
in just a few
Yeah.
drops of that. And
Oh, I'm sorry.
thanks. And bergamot or bergamot. Really, one drop is probably enough. Well, two.
one's good, two's better, right?
It's all in wrist action. So then you mix it all up, and you've got, you know, you got it all happening here. And then it's fun to use little fun cups,
Right.
which you know, and you layer it a little bit, and then you're making a parfait. You got some blueberries,
Gotta do the layer thing.
right?
Yeah,
We're
so
into layers,
Any type of fruit works.
right?
So.
Strawberries, bananas,
Yes.
raspberries.
Yep. All of that.
Granola with more pumpkin seeds or whatever I didn't layer it. So we'll just do a little bit, and then I'll put a little bit more. You know, I should have put a little bit more yogurt on there. But anyway, this is amazing. And it's pretty, but it's healthy.
Gotta love
And
it.
I think this is another thing. You do save money when you make your own
Fun things.
fun things. And it's empowering to do your own.
You're doing something that not only tastes good, but it's good for you. I mean, there's not a whole lot of
Oh, we can just.
options out there in the usual world.
You
for
get
that.
to
Eat it.
taste. Let's see.
Fine. This looks very good. They do anything to shut me up around here, including feeding me.
But it's kind of fun. My grandkids love a breakfast like this. It's just fun. They like making their own things, and it's simple. They love the idea of doing that. So kind of fun.
I'm intrigued with what you did to that plain yogurt. That's got a lot.
Unsweetened, plain
And
coconut.
It tastes.
Which has its own flavor
It
as
tastes
well.
great.
But if you don't choose, you can get just, you know, a vanilla, organic vanilla yogurt, and you don't have to sweeten it. Or you can just get, anyway, whatever you choose.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of ways to go with something like this.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good. Well, last but not least is brownies. Now these brownies, now believe it or not, they are completely grain free. There's no grains in them. So did you know you could cook without grains?
Wow.
No grains. Definitely gluten free. They have no milk. They have no sugar. So it's completely no glycemic. So these are keto brownies. And basically I've used almond butter and almond flour, and there is eggs.
Almond flour, wow.
Uh-huh. And they're also chocolate free. These are carob brownies. So another one of my favorites, I prefer the carob over the chocolate. They have walnuts on top, pecans on top, but they're peppermint. So I have put peppermint in the brownies themselves, and then with the frosting, I put peppermint and bergamot. So again, they're brain boosting, and so you'll have to try them.
I'll come back to you in a moment.
Try one of the brownies. They're just...
I've done enough cooking to be thoroughly intrigued with the fact that nothing here is as it looks. That's just amazing. No grain. Almond flour.
Almond flour. And like I said, there's almond butter,
Wow.
eggs, and then it has the oils. It's just...
That's amazing.
It is
So-
amazing.
So I can eat a plate of that and be healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome.
And sharp.
What's not to love about that?
And like I said, no glycemic. They're completely keto or paleo friendly. No grains.
If a person's diabetic or something, they can still
This
enjoy
is
it.
really,
And this is a very rich brownie.
yeah,
Wow.
very soft, and they're just really yummy. So yeah.
Now, are like what we've done here in the past, are these recipes all on your website too?
No, but actually that's where I said, if you would like the recipe, just send me an email, ask@ErleneTilton.com, and that's ERLEENTILTON.com, and I am glad to send you these 4 recipes. And
This is mind-blowing. Because when you're talking about, oh yeah, all the things that you like in your brownies, well, none of that's here. You know, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, okay, this ought to be an adventure. Those are...
How do I keep a straight face while
That's
I'm
right.
eating it?
No, those were delicious. I mean,
good.
and they don't, I mean, there's nothing missing. It's good. And that little hint of peppermint in there is just right.
Just right. Yeah, I think so too.
Very good stuff.
Yeah, so.
Nice.
Well, we just want you to know that there are fun things that you can do with essential oils. And like I said, all of these 4 are just some of the ideas that are really good for brain health. And so we can eat these types of foods on a daily basis and just really get some great benefits.
Regardless of your age, or perhaps what the concern might be for brain health, whether maybe you have a loved one who's got the beginnings of dementia or something like that. I mean, obviously we can't talk about this all being a sudden cure for anything, but it could have a positive effect, and
Absolutely.
based on some of the stories you were sharing earlier, a significant effect.
A significant effect. And that's why we do it. Every day you can do something good for your body and for your brain.
Gotta
And
love
for your
it.
spirit.
Absolutely.
And again, just go online to ErleneTilton.com. You can get a lot more information, or send that email to ask@ErleneTilton. Me and I've been having. I think you will too. Anyway, thanks for joining us this morning, and I just want to sit here and eat.
And enjoy it.
Definitely, especially this. I mean, to be able to eat a brownie and not have to say a prayer of, forgiveness before. It's a wonderful thing.
Or you can say a prayer for forgiveness or for
I think
being blessed.
Thankfulness,
to have
yes.
some Thankfulness.
There you go. Anyway, thanks for joining us this morning. We look forward to seeing you again next month with the secrets of healthy, happy people with Erlene Tilton and Donalyn Williams. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you being here.
Goodbye.